Good to see you. Happy Friday, the 30th day of October. We're about ready to bid adieu to October 2020. November makes its appearance. Come Sunday, daylight saving time goes away. On Sunday, it's back to standard time, which means this is going to be the last Wake Up Wenatchee Valley show for a while, where we begin in darkness, because obviously the sun will come up an hour earlier than normal come Monday when we visit each other again. Still have the air stagnation advisory. It will expire, it looks like, at 11 o'clock this morning. I think everything is timing out just the way the National Weather Service predicted. Cold fronts coming in could get us some light rain, a little bit of light snow in the Cascades, nothing too much to worry about. And then right behind that cold front, windy conditions. Going to be very blustery, especially later on this afternoon and into the early evening hours. Forecast details are coming up. All next week looks really nice. Going to have another ridge of high pressure set up. Going to feel just perfect for early November. And then they say next weekend, going to be really cold. Details are coming up. We got news, we got sports. Going to preview the Seahawks and the 49ers. And we'll continue our series of visits with Sandy Cooprider, who is being honored, of course, by the Wenatchee Valley College Board of Trustees. They're going to name the entire athletic complex after Coop. We're going to wrap up our week-long profile of Sandy when we get to sports. Also, we have the obscure holiday today in history. Everyone is entitled to Mike Mignotti's opinion, some celebrity birthdays, and as we're doing every Friday here on Wake Up Wenatchee Valley, we're playing the video provided to us by the Chelan Douglas Health District featuring Dr. Malcolm Butler. So it's your chance to get the latest update on COVID-19 from a North Central Washington perspective. Dr. Butler's video weekly update will come your way in the back half of the program. 39 degrees, mixture of clouds and clear skies at 2 minutes after the hour. Let's take a look at what we got. And again, it is dark. Sun won't come up until 7:42. We're a ways away. Sunset tonight, 5:46. That's 10 hours and 4 minutes of daylight. Tomorrow, last day of the month, Halloween, will be exactly 10 hours of daylight. Then we go under that 10-hour mark starting on Sunday. But again, with daylight saving time coming up, the sun will be coming up an hour earlier and going down an hour earlier as well. So there we go. Beautiful view from the Wenatchee Valley proper. Good morning to everybody who decided to start their day with us. We always appreciate it. From this point forward, as you well know, if you're a regular viewer, I don't know. Megan, the producer, gets to decide what camera she wants to look at, and I have to guess what it is, and that's pretty obvious. So we'll move right on to I don't know, what am I looking at, Megan? That's the Rock Island. Oh, I should have known that. Normally, of course, in daylight, I can pick out the Rock Island camera immediately because you can see the Columbia River and you can see the golf course. Well, you can't see the golf course. You can't see the Columbia River. It's down there, full of water, I'm told. We can't see the morning commute, the folks on the highway heading between East Wenatchee and Rock Island and out on to the Columbia Basin. A lot of people work in Quincy but live in the Wenatchee Valley. I have noticed that in my last few years as Quincy continues to grow, but a lot of the workforce continues to live here in the Wenatchee Valley. It's a pretty easy commute, all things considered. Good morning, Rock Island. Camera number 3. Let's see downtown Wenatchee, Washington, United States of America, from the roof of the Cascadian. Looking to the north on the avenue, very light traffic. Of course, it's early. People are still getting up and getting going, and a lot of people are still not actually physically going to the office. They're still working at home. Come on, COVID, go away. You can't wish it away. You got to work it away, I guess. Camera 4. Beautiful, beautiful view of Upper Butte. That's the Upper Butte. Wow, that's pretty cool. Yeah, I think you're right, Megan. That is the Waterville area that we're looking at. This is the Upper Butte camera, so this is in Chelan, high above the Lake Chelan area, but we have it pointed due east. That's why we can see the sun beginning to rise, and that little blip of lights that you see at the very top, I believe that's Waterville. I believe that is Waterville, because that camera is about 4,000 feet, a little above 4,000 feet, and that's where Waterville is. So I'm thinking those blinking lights you see is beautiful downtown Waterville. Say hi to all my friends up there. We love Waterville. Great town. Great people. Really cool people live in Waterville. I've noticed that as well. All right, good stuff. Good tours this morning at 5 minutes after the hour. 2 things from the National Weather Service we want to pass along to you. Wind gusts today. Now, this is the maximum wind gusts. This is not sustained winds. And you can see right along that Highway 2 corridor from the Wenatchee Valley through Waterville off to Douglas and Wilbur, That's going to be the windiest locations because the wind is going to be able to channel itself into those the east slopes of the Cascades, into the gaps, and pick up a little bit of momentum. As you can see in the Wenatchee Valley, the occasional gust 30 to 35 miles an hour. Ellensburg is always a little windier down there, so the big wind farms will be working away there. Not so bad out in the Columbia Basin, but right along that Highway 2 corridor, you can see that dark red. That's a pretty strong wind gust. These are your wind gusts later on today into the early evening hours, and it'll die down about 8 or 9 o'clock. And the Climate Prediction Center is saying we have a pretty good chance for next weekend to be pretty cold. Now, this is not, let me walk you through this. This is the chance it's going to be colder than normal next week. Take a look at that dark blue over eastern Washington and covering pretty much all of Montana and into western North Dakota. There's a 70% chance that our temperatures will be below normal starting next weekend. In fact, there is a potential for a very, very cold air mass to come down and pay us a visit next weekend. We're talking about high temperatures here in the Wenatchee Valley next weekend, not this weekend, but next weekend. We're talking about high temperatures only in the upper 20s to maybe about 30. So we're in for a very cold blast of weather, but that's next weekend starting today and lasting through pretty much all of next week. We're going to be under the influence of a ridge of high pressure. In fact, from Patriot Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling, who gives your home a hug, here's your forecast. Very nice today. Again, a little on the windy side. Whatever this cold front that's coming in is moving really fast, which is one of the reasons right behind it we're going to have some windy conditions. Can't rule out a straight raindrop this morning. We'll have sunshine for the most part. High of 59. It was beautiful yesterday. We had 60 on Thursday. Our normal high, 53. It was a mild Thursday. Very pleasant afternoon. The air stagnation advisory will go away as the winds kick up and knock all the gunky air out of here. I have about 59, again, quite windy this afternoon and into tonight, 35 for the overnight low. We're going to have clear skies, so while those overnight lows going to be chilly. Very pleasant Halloween for you. Take a look at the jack-o'-lantern. I have about 56 on Saturday afternoon. Sunday, we welcome November and standard time with some patchy fog in the morning, burning off to sunshine, high of about 56 degrees. And then high pressure is going to be kind of large and in charge. It's looking pretty good, really, for the most part. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Mixture of clouds and sun, fairly mild temperatures for this time of the year. Normally our high temperature right around 52 or 53, so it's going to be warm, as you can see there. And then next weekend, starting Friday, Saturday, and into Sunday, it's going to be very, very cold if the computer models hold true, and it looks like they are. But no real problems there. Pretty quiet weather, all things considered, once we get through today. All right, it's your forecast. It's 8 minutes after the hour. We have news, and it's just 1 minute away, so grab a cup of coffee. Come right back and see me. We'll fill your head full of the information you need to get your Friday going. The news is 1 minute away. You're watching Wake Up Wenatchee Valley on the NCW Life channel.
My name is Lacey Haggerty, and I'm a nurse midwife with Columbia Valley Community Health. I love all aspects of my job because it is a profession that's very committed to empowering women to make decisions in their health care that feel best for them. It's incredibly valuable to me as a midwife that I get to take care of women throughout their whole lifespan. I hope to see you at a future visit because I know you'll love having midwifery care.
Pybus Public Market's motto is where community meets. Whether it's people, enjoying an event, or they meet a colleague for coffee and whip out their laptop and are able to actually do work here, having quick and reliable Wi-Fi is one of the things that makes Pybus such a great community hub. It just contributes to the welcoming place that we want Pybus to be. I'm Allie, and fiber keeps people connected, and that's what Pybus Market is all about.
Very pleasant morning. Mixture of clouds and clear skies, 43 degrees at 9 minutes after the hour. We'll have some breezy conditions, high near 60, and a very nice weekend coming our way. Here are your headlines. Investigators still trying to figure out what exactly happened. The details are a little vague, but a man has been arrested for carjacking a vehicle at gunpoint. This happened Wednesday morning near Moses Lake, and this gunman apparently led deputies on a crash-filled chase. Kyle Foreman of the Grant County Sheriff's Office said at least 3 other vehicles were either hit or forced off the road. This pursuit happened just after 8 a.m. again on Wednesday morning. Foreman said a man's vehicle was carjacked at a home in the May Valley area before the pursuit that led to the suspect's arrest about 10 miles away on Road 6 Northeast. Nobody was injured. The suspect was arrested without incident. Foreman said he's still awaiting details on the circumstances that led to that carjacking. Soap Lake police have released a video of a slow speed chase, and I mean slow. This happened last week and eventually resulted in the arrest of a 29-year-old Ephrata man. He's being charged with theft and possession of a stolen vehicle. Kevin Goody is accused of stealing the car about 8:30 in the morning, October 21st, in the 2300 block of Road B Northeast. Soap Lake Sergeant Spencer Nulf joined Grant County Sheriff's deputies in the pursuit, if you will, which started on Road A Northeast and headed onto Road 19 Northeast towards Highway 17. Speeds barely reached 20 miles an hour and covered only about a mile. Then deputies laid down spike strips that slowly deflated the stolen vehicle's tires. The pursuit ended and the arrest was made at the intersection of Road 19 and Highway 17. COVID-19 numbers in Chelan and Douglas counties up again, and the health district's weekly thermographic came out yesterday. The number of new cases per 100,000 population in the past 14 days in the two counties, 178.2. As you see there, last week it was 168.3. The Chelan Douglas Health District's goal is no more than 25 new cases over the previous 2-week period. Chelan County reported 14 new positive coronavirus tests yesterday. Douglas County 8. There are currently 3 Chelan County residents hospitalized with the virus, none from Douglas County. Massive get out the vote efforts this year appear to be paying off, at least in north central Washington. Chelan County Auditor Skip Moore said by Wednesday morning, 53% of voters had already turned in their ballots ahead of Tuesday's election. In Douglas County, Auditor Thad Duvall said about 50% of ballots had been returned by Wednesday morning. Both elections officials say they expect up to 90% turnout by Election Day, and Skip Moore said those sorts of numbers are unprecedented.
We have not seen that before. The massive influx of ballots that we got so quickly. But based upon the environment nationwide, the concerns being brought up all over the place, Postal Service may not be able to get the ballots in, and those type of things. And then the other push by people saying, get your ballots in. It's going to be, don't wait for, or don't completely trust a post office, which I don't agree with, but could they be overwhelmed? Well, certainly. I mean, you could always get into that place. These guys handle a lot of mail all the time. I think in the big scheme of things, this is just a little blip on their radar as far as a crush, but it's resulted in a lot of people getting their ballots in early, which in Washington State is a wonderful thing because we can get them processed. If we have that big dump of ballots near or right around Election Day, those we normally don't get into the results till the Friday following the election. Well, right now we're going to have over 26,000 ballots, there's about, in the results on Tuesday night, which is huge. I mean, even in those elections where we got 60, 70%, we're on election night probably only reporting of that about half.
As younger students in the Wenatchee School District prepare to go back to classrooms, it starts next Monday. The school district said there are important things parents need to be doing every day to make that return successful. Wenatchee School District Communications Director Diana Haglund said 3 steps are required every day.
Hey Wenatchee School District, this is your Communications Director Diana Haglund. Over the weekend, our elementary families received a postcard in the mail from us. This postcard lays out 3 important steps for health screening that need to be completed before you send your child to school. Especially for those pre-K through 2nd grade families who are getting ready to send their students back to the classroom on November 2nd, these are critically important steps. So I'm here to walk you through those. Step 1, complete the online health screener. This needs to be done every day before you send your child to school. The website is listed on the postcard, or you can scan the QR code with your smartphone's camera app. That'll take you to a website where you can quickly answer some questions. This is important for you to complete because this tells us whether or not your child has any symptoms related to COVID. It also allows us to make sure that we can contact trace in the event that there is an outbreak of COVID. The second step in the process is to complete a paper FastPass. Paper FastPasses will be provided to you at parent-teacher conferences. We'll give you a stack that you can complete every day. These small slips of paper have similar questions to what we ask in the online form and is a visual cue for us to know that your child's daily health screener has been completed online. You fill out the paper FastPass after you've done the online form and then send that to school with your child. You put it in their backpack. Just make sure you send it with them if they ride the bus, or bring it with you in the car when you're getting ready to drop off your child. You can hand that to staff that are waiting at the building. The last step in this whole process is we will be doing a temperature scan when your child arrives to school to make sure that they don't have a temperature or other symptoms. Once they show that FastPass, that tells us that they've completed the online form and that they're ready to go. So we'll allow them into the building and we can safely begin hybrid instruction. For more information about the health screening steps, visit our website, wenatcheeschools.org/smartrestart, or give your school a call. We'll have extra copies of the paper FastPasses for you, as well as copies of this postcard. If you didn't get one, you lost it, whatever, we'll make sure that you have some copies. I would put it on the refrigerator or somewhere where you have quick and easy access to it every day. And remember, these steps need to be completed every day for every child before you send them to school. Online form, paper FastPass, send it with the student or put it in their backpack every day. Thanks for doing your part to keep our students healthy and safe, and we can't wait to see them starting on November 2nd.
And finally, on this Friday morning, there's still time to vote, both in Tuesday's general election and also on a name for the new Washington State Department of Transportation's tow plow. There it is. Wash.East earlier asked for suggested names for the plow, and they're letting people pick from the finalists on its Twitter page. Among the candidates are Plow King, Sammy the Slow Slayer, the Last Snowbender, and R2 Plow 2. 2 years ago, a naming contest resulted in WashDOT's first tow plow being called Plowy McPlow Plow. The state says a single tow plow can clear snow from roadways as fast as 3 regular plows. Plowy McPlow Plow. That's the news at 18 minutes after the hour. Grant Olson, our anchor, has a preview of the Friday night evening news. And here's the man himself.
Good Friday morning, Dan. Coming up tonight on the NCW Life Evening News, a little bit wet this morning and then a little windy this afternoon, but this weekend looks great. I'll have all the details in your complete North Central Washington weather forecast, and Eric Granstrom will have the latest from the Seahawks as they prepare for Sunday's big game with the 49ers in sports. That and all the day's news coming up tonight at 5, 6, and 10 on the NCW Life Evening News. We hope you'll join us then. Dan?
Plowy McPlow Plow. Yeah, that's what they called it. Get a hold of us if you want to get a hold of us. You can email us at the address you see at the bottom of your screen. You can use the Facebook Messenger app. You can go to our website. You can pick up the telephone and give us a call. You can mail us a letter. Plowy McPlow Plow. I can't get that out of my head. It's 19 minutes after the hour. Sports, the obscure holiday, today in history, celebrity birthdays. Everyone is entitled to Mike McNally's opinion and Dr. Malcolm Butler's weekly COVID-19 update from the Chelan Douglas Health District. All coming up. You're watching Wake Up Wenatchee Valley on the NCW Live channel.
Hello, North Central Washington. I'm Dave Tosh, Executive Director, Wenatchee Valley Senior Activity Center, and I'm excited to announce a new variety show entitled Vibrant Living, brought to you by the Senior Center, and I think you'll find it educational, informative, and a lot of fun. Join us in early November for the new program, Vibrant Living.
Badger Mountain Brewing is proud to announce the grand opening of our new kitchen. Come try out our new menu featuring fabulous steaks, prime rib, gourmet burgers, and seafood grilled up by experienced meat master Chef Galen Goodman. To complement your mouth-watering meal, Badger Mountain Brewing features 14 in-house crafted beers, an alcohol-free root beer infused with 11 different herbs and spices, 3 different ciders, and a great wine selection. Don't miss out on the best meats and the best brews down at Badger Mountain Brewing, located at 1 Orondo Avenue across the tracks from the Pybus Market.
And we are back at 21 minutes after the hour. Sports. Sandy Cooprider estimates that he's touched the lives of over 25,000 students in his 44-year career, both coaching and teaching. At Wenatchee Valley College, he greets every day with a fresh energy that, he's intent on making a difference, and by golly, he has. Cooprider says his philosophy is simple.
Okay, I get up today, I'm going to make it better than yesterday. I get up tomorrow, I'm going to make it better than today. I'm going to try and have a positive attitude, because attitude does make the difference in everybody's lives. I think you have to show people you love them, okay, because I think what happens is we don't do that sometimes as much as we should. There's the 3 C's: don't criticize, condemn, or complain. I used to talk about that in my classes all the time. I said, take a piece of paper and write those 3 words on a piece of paper and then put it in a place where you can reach to it. So when you start to criticize or condemn or complain, reach your hand into that pocket or into that purse and grab a hold of that thing to remind you not to do that. So if we could be less critical of people, okay, whatever their beliefs are, okay, and we're living in a world today that is so chaotic and so divided. It saddens me to see this, because we've been in better times, obviously. But if you know anything, hopefully, about the people of the United States, is that they're going to pull together, and hopefully we can do that in a positive way.
The sports complex that Cooprider led the way in getting built at Wenatchee Valley College will bear his name because of a vote of the Wenatchee Valley College Board of Trustees. Cooprider believes the founding reason why he built the fields will carry through to future generations.
The message that I was trying to convey is that we're taking care of the youth of this valley. College athletes are youth. I don't care. They're still young. High school, middle school, grade school kids. My philosophy is bring them on campus. Their parents will come. They'll see what we have. Greg Franz did Night Buddies. We did Night Buddies for a long time and brought kids in, which helped him down the road to be the 96 NWAC champion and be the semifinalist in the 2000 championship. I used to do football camps all the time and do day camps where we bring every single kid in. We had 60, 70 players that would take these kids underneath them. They'd go over and they'd show them how to do something, and then all of a sudden they want to come to the games. And so that was my philosophy, is open the campus, bring them on campus, let them see what we have. And that was one of the motivations behind this complex. Because if you take a look at all the people that have come to that campus in the last 24 years because of that facility, it just kind of blows you away, and that if you build it, they will come, and boy, have they. That just fits perfect.
The formal dedication of the Cooprider Sports Field Complex is going to be held after COVID-19 restrictions have been lifted. Seahawks getting ready to host the 49ers Sunday at CenturyLink Field. Yesterday's signing of Carlos Dunlap is going to help next week in Buffalo. Dunlap can't play this weekend, but Seattle is still undermanned. Jamal Adams, safety, still questionable. He's missed the last 3 games with a groin injury. Quarterback Shaquille Griffin coming off a concussion on the offensive side of the ball. Running backs Chris Carson, Carlos Hyde, Travis Homer, that are all questionable heading into the weekend. That could mean more action for DJ Dallas. Offensive coordinator Brian Schottenheimer says Dallas better be ready.
I think last week was a good lesson for everybody. Young players that might find themselves a little bit lower on the depth chart. Oh, I might not get a whole lot of play, and he gets kind of thrown into the game late. And, a couple little things there mentally that he's got to be sharper with. And I love he takes accountability for all those things when you watch it. But he's a really good football player. Instinctive, one-cut, decisive runner, really good feet, really good change of direction. Again, he's a guy that we know can play well and play at a winning level for us.
Coach Pete Carroll says they're also looking at the possibility of wide receiver David Moore or even others getting a little time at running back if the need arises.
We'll check out what we need this week and watch our guys coming back off the injury list and see who comes back. But we have to make some moves in preparation in case the guys don't get back. So we're doing that, and we'll wait and see when the week's over so you can figure out who it is.
DJ Dallas is a rookie out of Miami. He hasn't had too many opportunities to learn the offense. They've only played 6 games, but he says he's learning as he's going.
Having fun on special teams. I like special teams a lot. I got a little bit of burn here and there on the offensive side of the ball, and I just kind of take my reps where I can get them. Kind of like a hyena in the wild. you find something, you go get it. So I try to take my reps where I can.
49ers coming to Sunday's game with a 4-3 record. They've had an up-and-down season so far. Bobby Wagner says one thing is for sure, their offense will try to get outside on Seattle's defense.
Our edge play is really important against this team. They're looking to get outside, and the moment you overplay, that's when the running backs kind of cut back inside. So you have to be ready. You have to be on point and understand what they're trying to do. They're trying to get outside, and if you overplay the outside, they're trying to see if anybody's out of their gap. So this is a team that you really have to be disciplined, and you have to have your eyes right, and you have to just do your job and play on their side of the ball. You got to be in the backfield.
Seahawks and 49ers will get going at 1:25 at CenturyLink Field. Check local listings, or you can watch it on Fox because that's where it's going to be. Here's what we have on tap this weekend, sports-wise, on the NCAA Live channel. It begins with Big 9 football tonight. Wildcats and the Chiefs will do battle. Grant Olson, Eric Grandstrom with the play-by-play, 6:30 tonight. Tomorrow's matinee at 1:30. You got Big 9 girls soccer. Eastmont hosting Moses Lake. Eric and Matt Wiesen on the call there. At 6 o'clock, Les Schwab night at the Wenatchee Valley Super Oval from a warm night back in August. And Sunday, we got 2 Big 9 girls soccer matches from last November. At 2 o'clock, it's Eastmont and Wenatchee to decide the Big 9 title. At 7 o'clock, it's Eastmont and Meade in the state tournament. And those are just some of the games that people are playing on this Friday, the 30th day of October. I had 4, count them 4, obscure holidays to choose from. Today is National Publicist Day. I don't have a publicist. I could probably use one, improve my image. Today is Mischief Night. You know what that is. It's the night before Halloween where you throw toilet paper on people's houses and do general bad things. Don't participate in that. National Breadstick Day. Nope, it's National Candy Corn Day. National Candy Corn Day. The candy always associated with Halloween. Sugar, corn syrup, and wax. That's what it's made out of. Does anybody like these things? I mean, seriously, I don't get it. They're not flavorful. They make 35 million pounds of candy corn every year, so somebody's eating it. It ain't me. Candy corn dates back to the late 19th century at the Wonderly Candy Company in Philadelphia, who developed candy corn. Seriously, who eats that stuff? It's Happy National Candy Corn Day. Best of luck to your gastrointestinal system after eating that garbage. All right. 29, I shouldn't talk, 29 minutes after the hour. 82 years ago today, October 30th, 1938, Orson Welles and his Mercury Radio Theater players scared the bejesus out of the northeast sector of this country when they presented the play The War of the Worlds as written by H.G. Wells. It caused, quite a bit of panic in the Northeast. It was a Sunday night, and just like it is today, Sunday night at 8 o'clock is when most people are settled in and get ready to start the next week. It was the most listened to radio time of the week. The number 1 show in America was Edgar Bergen's radio show back in 1938. What experts think happened was because when the War of the Worlds radio broadcast began, they started with a disclaimer. This is a play. It's a play. It's a fictional work. It's not real. And then they started the broadcast of War of the Worlds. But people were listening to the Edgar Bergen program, and then when the Edgar Bergen program went to commercial, they switched over, like we always do. They switched over to the Mutual Broadcasting Network. and there's panic going on. There's Martians landing and people dying. That's what they think happened. Made Orson Welles a legend. He had to apologize for it. It happened 82 years ago today. This is really the 75th anniversary of Jackie Robinson breaking the color barrier because he signed a contract with the Brooklyn Dodgers. He was a member of the Kansas City Monarchs of the Negro Baseball League, and they started the process of getting him in to Major League Baseball on this date 75 years ago today when he signed a contract with the Brooklyn Dodgers. In 1946, he played in Montreal, and in 1947, he broke in with Brooklyn, but he signed his professional contract on this date 75 years ago today. And this is the 46th anniversary of the famous Rumble in the Jungle, Muhammad Ali and George Foreman in Zaire. In order for it to be broadcast live in prime time in the United States, the fight took place at 3 o'clock in the morning. In oppressive heat in Zaire, Africa, Ali was a 4-1 underdog to George Foreman, who was the undefeated, undisputed heavyweight championship of the world. And in case you forgot, here's how it ended.
Ali just takes him, protecting his face at all times, does Ali. Foreman throwing more punches now. Maybe this could be the tactic of Ali to let the man punch himself out. 30 seconds left in round 8. Very even fight. Ali, a sneaky right hand. Another sneaky right hand. This time he works over the shoulder of Foreman. It's the combination. 3, 4, 5, 6. Foreman gets up to the knee. 8. That's it. The fight is stopped.
What a moment that was. Of course, the famous rope-a-dope tactic. He just let George Foreman punch himself out, and George's legs simply gave out in the 8th round. Ali could have punched him again. The way George Foreman was falling down, he didn't. The punch that he didn't throw told us a lot about Ali. 1 billion people watched this fight worldwide. It was the most watched live television event in history up to that time. 50 million of those had to watch it on pay-per-view. How did you do pay-per-view in 1974? They showed them in movie theaters. Movie theaters. You would buy a ticket and you would sit in a movie theater and they would show the fight there live. The Rumble in the Jungle, and Ali is the champion. Birthdays on October 30th. The second president of the United States, John Adams, born in the state in 1735. He lived longer than any of the other founding fathers. He lived to the age of 90. Died on the same day as Thomas Jefferson on the 4th day of July, 50 years after the birth of this country. None of John Adams's family was actually there when he was inaugurated. He had a tough act to follow. He had to follow George. He was the first vice president and then the second president. And he gets unbelievably short shrift. I mean, they have statues to Benjamin Franklin. We have the Washington Monument, the Jefferson Memorial, and all the great founding fathers are, except John Adams doesn't really get the respect he deserves, I think. By the way, of the first 5 American presidents, John Adams was the only one who didn't own any slaves, didn't believe in it, didn't own them. John Adams, second president of the United States. He deserves a memorial. I mean, come on. Cut the guy some slack. He made a significant role. He was born in the state in 1735. Harry Truman, not that Harry Truman, that Harry Truman. You remember him? Became a folk legend here in the Pacific Northwest in the spring of 1980 when Mount St. Helens woke up from her long slumber. He died when Mount St. Helens erupted in May of 1980 at the age of 83. He was quite the character. He once got a forest ranger drunk so he could burn a pile of brush illegally. He poached, he stole from the National Park Service. He fished on American Indian land with a fake ID, drank excessively, hated Republicans, hippies, and just people in general, but he was a real character, and he became a legend until Mount St. Helens erupted. Harry Truman, born in the state in 1896, and by the way, served this country with distinction in World War I. And finally, the Fonz. The Fonz is 75 years old today. Henry Winkler. Happy Days was a huge show when I was a kid. It's unwatchable today. Happy birthday, Henry Winkler, 75 years old today. We are going to take a break. When we come back, Mike McNally's Got an Opinion, and then, like we do every Friday, Dr. Malcolm Butler is going to give us our latest video update for this week on COVID-19 from the Chelan Douglas Health District. That's coming up too. You're watching Wake Up Wenatchee Valley on the NCW Live channel.
When you call Dick's Heating and Air Conditioning, you get 35 years of experience and customer service in the Wenatchee Valley. Dick's friendly staff strongly believe in repairing before replacing and service all major brands of HVAC units. Dick's Heating and Air Conditioning is your local, independent, trained comfort specialists, proudly serving all of North Central Washington. Call 884-6444 today.
With 2 years as our 12th District State Representative and 16 years as a Chelan County Commissioner, Keith Gaynor is one of the most qualified candidates this district has ever sent to Olympia. With schools starting to gradually reopen, the next challenge we face is how to best reinvigorate our local economies. We must allow our small businesses to safely and fully reopen so they can get back to doing what they do best. Since the pandemic, Keith has shown proven leadership and believes that the state needs to recognize the value of all businesses in our district. Vote for Keith Gaynor as our 12th District State Representative.
As the sun sets on another hot summer, let the experts at Blue Lagoon Pool and Spa winterize and close your pool. Closing your swimming pool is the most important service to get right. Letting the professionals from Blue Lagoon Pool and Spa close your pool will ensure that you won't cost yourself thousands of dollars in damage next year. Want to save a little money? Consider dropping the water level yourself and save. Don't wait. Blue Lagoon's pool closing schedule is filling up quickly. Call today.
Ooh, hey, this is Mike Mad Dog Magnani, and everybody is entitled to my opinion. Now, Henry Kissinger, Richard Nixon's Secretary of State, once said that power is the greatest aphrodisiac. I see his point. There's no doubt that people are often attracted to and seduced by those in power, but power works another way as well. And those who have power, it makes those with power feel that they can act any way they want. We've seen it over and over again recently with those men high up in the entertainment industry who have used their power to sexually assault women. I'm gratified to see that these abused women are coming forward, being believed, and that their abusers are being held accountable. Because it's about time us men, powerful or otherwise, treated women with the respect and decency they deserve. This is Mike Mad Dog Magnani, and that's my opinion.
Hi, my name is Blaine Johnson. I'm at Global Elite Motors. We're tied in with Global Car Care down here locally. So we're not your typical car buying experience. Somebody can come down here, take a look at what we have, and if we have the right vehicle for you, we'd be glad to help you out with it. A lot of times we are able to go out and find specific vehicles for somebody so that it fits their needs, their budget, and all the things that you want without you being obligated right away. If you're looking for a good, reliable car, come see me, Blaine Johnson, down at Global Elite Motors.
Downtown Manson is Washington's best-kept wine secret. Over a dozen tasting rooms are within walking distance. Experience Ancestry Cellars, featuring wines rooted in family traditions. Or Skagit Cellars, where East meets West in every vintage. And don't miss Rio Vista Wines, home of the original wine slushie. All three are kid-friendly. Isn't it time you had a taste of Manson?
There are so many possibilities for you to learn local right here at Wenatchee Valley College. Take classes towards a degree or certificate in more than 50 areas of study. Wenatchee Valley College now offers a large variety of virtual classes, including labs, sign language, music, and machining, and they have the resources to help you succeed in virtual classes. So when a college degree is your goal, learn local at Wenatchee Valley College.
Hi, everybody. Dr. Malcolm Butler here. I am a family medicine physician. I practice at Columbia Valley Community Health, and I am also the health officer for Chelan and Douglas counties. Appreciate you taking the time to meet with me today. We're going to start off looking at some local data. After that, I'm going to answer a few questions that have come in over the last week. And let's get going. All right, so here's this week's information. First, just the conclusions from this data that locally, the incidence of COVID-19 right now is pretty flat, even though across the state things are getting worse. The good news is we're continuing to keep the most vulnerable people safe. And we know that because the hospital rates are not going up. Our hospitals right now are actually doing very well. But we are seeing an interesting increase in young people, specifically from ages 0 to 19. And I'm going to talk more about that. So this is our most recent data from yesterday. The important number is that one you can see at the bottom right in red. We're at about 173 cases per 100,000 per 14 days. And then this is a run chart of what our incidences look like since August. You can see we bottomed out at around October 1st, and then we have swept back up a little bit, but it actually looks like over the last 2 or 3 weeks, we've kind of plateaued right around the 160 level. And you'll see a couple lines on there. Anything above that green line is 75 per 100,000, and that's considered dangerously high. Anything below the orange line, or 25, is considered low risk. So you can see we're still pretty darn high. This now is how things have looked across the state of Washington. March is all the way over on the left, and October is over on the right. And again, for the entire state, not just our region. And you can see that we do look like we're swinging back up now into a third wave. And I put a dot in there for Chelan Douglas County, that red dot. So you can see that even though we're sort of plateaued, the rest of the state actually was doing quite a bit better than we were at the end of September, beginning of October. So they've seen more of an increase, and they're still not up to where we are. This is looking at the hospital data. It's a very busy slide, but this is looking at all of the hospitals that care for patients in our region. And what I want you to be able to see is that it's relatively flat in the right half. And that looks like from sort of mid-September until now. So even though rates are going up, hospitalizations aren't necessarily going up, and that's good news. These are the testing numbers. The most recent week is on the very far right. The dark gray are the PCR tests. The light gray are the antigen tests. And then below that are green and blue, which are the positives. And right now, positives are about 4% of our total testing. You can see that very big bar last week, or the last week that we reported, which has to do with a lot of the community-wide testing that we've been doing. This is looking at the ages of people who have tested positive throughout the pandemic. Again, you'll see most of the people who are testing positive are young, specifically between the ages of 20 and 50. And this is a new graph now. And it's interesting. I'm going to explain it to you so that you can understand it. On the left, we have Douglas County. On the right, we have Chelan County. And across the bottom, we have going all the way back to March on the far left and October on the far right. The different colors represent these different age groups across the bottom. So the very light blue is 0 to 19, and then way up at the very top, the darkest blue, which is very small up there, is over 80 years of age. And over the course of time, you can see these things have gone up and down a little bit. But what I want to draw your attention to are these changes right here that we've seen in both Chelan and Douglas County. So this is in people who are 20 to 40 years old, and you'll see that they have started to increase over the last month. A part of that is because this bar down here has begun to increase. And just to explain this, this is the percentage. So the percentage of all age groups is always going to add up to 100, no matter sort of how many actual positives there were, whether there were 100 or 500. This is the percent of those positives that were in this given age group. So you can see that we've seen an increase in the 20 to 39-year-olds over the last month. But also, and I think this is even more interesting, we're seeing an increase in the 0 to 19-year-olds. Now, what I think most people would think, gosh, kids are now starting to get more COVID, it must be because the schools have reopened. And I can tell you that that is absolutely false. That is not the reason these numbers are going up, because the schools have been tracking very closely what is going on inside the schools. And so far, we have not had any transmission within our schools. So we cannot blame kids being back in the classroom for these changes. But again, it means we have to remember kids do get this infection, and sometimes it can make them quite sick. More often, they're not very sick, but they make other people sick. This is then looking over the entire region, the 5 surrounding counties. And just to show there are some changes we can see there too. Again, a more dramatic increase in the 0 to 19-year-olds, but also a drop off in the 40 to 60-year-olds. Just interesting. Demographics otherwise this week are pretty much identical to what they were last week. Still about 77% of the disease is in our Hispanic neighbors, who make up about 31% of the total population. And again, 28% of the people we have tested have had no symptoms when we tested them. So about a quarter of people still have no symptoms. This again is looking at industries. It's the same as the last week when I showed you this. The far left is agriculture, blue is Hispanic, orange is non-Hispanic. And then there's construction, then education, then healthcare, then retail and restaurants, then other. On the far right, the largest bar is people who actually don't want to share with us what their occupation is. And then the second to the right are unemployed or retired. So those are kids and retired people. So you'll see that the largest employer in our region, which is agriculture, has the largest number of cases. They also employ the largest share of our Hispanic neighbors, which again is why they have so many positives. And just to remind everybody that just because you work in agriculture or in healthcare like I do, if you turn positive, it does not mean you contracted it at work. In fact, it's much more likely that you contracted it at home. This is looking at the deaths that we've had so far to date. And just to point out that we have people die in their 40s and had people die over the age of 90. And right now we actually have more males who have died than females. Okay, so I got some questions here that have been sent in over the last week, and we do appreciate you guys taking the time to send these to us. So the first question is, we know flu season is here. What is the main difference between COVID-19 and the seasonal flu? Or what should I be looking out for to better decide if I need a COVID test or if I should just stay in bed for a couple days? And that's a very interesting question, and it's tough because, to tell you the truth, there is no difference in the symptoms. Now, there's some symptoms like if you lose your sense of smell, which are somewhat unique to COVID-19, but most people don't get that. And so most people for both the flu and for COVID are going to start off with a fever. They're going to feel achy. They might start to cough. COVID is a little bit more famous for causing people to feel short of breath and like, it's difficult to breathe, but both influenza and COVID can make you feel horrible and horribly weak. So so what we healthcare providers are going to be doing is we're going to test you for both. And when people come in and they have symptoms, and it could be either influenza or COVID, we're going to test for both and try and sort that out. And that actually makes some sense because we do have treatment for influenza. And so we could initiate treatment. And the isolation criteria are much more strict for COVID, and you would want to know that too. So what I would recommend, if you're not sure, if you've got a question, call your provider, your healthcare provider, and ask them what they think you should do. All right, next question. I am married with 3 kids. If my husband tests positive for COVID-19, how can I keep myself and my kids safe? How does someone safely quarantine at home with a house full of family members? And I think that's another very interesting question. And there is some advice, actually. There's a flyer that the CDC has put out, and we will attach the link for that flyer to this video. So the safest possible way to do this is for the sick person to live away from the rest of the family. So I've heard of people renting a hotel room. In fact, that's what a lot of emergency room physicians have been doing is during the pandemic, they've been living in a hotel so that they don't expose their family. I've heard of people who are infected doing the same thing. And I've also heard of people, you know, if you happen to have a camper trailer or something like that, moving out into the yard and isolating yourself in your trailer. But I think for most people, that's probably going to be very impractical and could be quite expensive. So I think in most households, what we'd like to do is to get that sick person alone in their own bedroom. And unfortunately, somebody's going to need to carry whatever they need into that room. So they're going to need to carry in food or medicine or a TV or whatever the person needs so that they can tolerate 10 days in isolation. And if when that person needs to leave their room and come out, you know, to go to the bathroom or something else, the sick person needs to make sure that they're wearing a mask. Now, if the person who is sick is actually so sick that they need someone to go in and look after them, you know, to bring them hot honey lemon tea or Tylenol or something else, the people who are caring for the sick person, when they go inside that room, need to be wearing their own mask, and the patient or the person who is sick needs to be wearing a mask. And then the caregiver also, if possible, should wear gloves. Optimally, they'd have an N95 respirator, which is the safest kind of mask to protect yourself from a sick person. And then if possible, they would either wear a gown or they'd wear some kind of clothing that they could take off after leaving the room and put through the wash. And that way, any particles, any droplets that are in that room that land on their clothing won't be carried out to the rest of the house. Everyone in the house needs to make sure that they're being extra diligent, washing their hands. For sure, before using the bathroom and after using the bathroom that the sick person has been using. So careful hand washing. Also careful hand washing before eating meals, super important when you've got somebody sick in your home. And then just everybody in the house has to be sort of extra vigilant, looking for symptoms in themselves. That is to say, if anybody else develops any symptoms, we need to get them tested too. Remember, everybody living in that house is going to be considered a close contact. And so everybody in that house is actually in quarantine also, which makes it a challenge. I will mention briefly that Chelan Douglas Health District does have a program to help people who need food, who cannot get out to the grocery stores. Make sure you contact us or go to our website to look for more information about that. And next question here. I heard that Chelan Douglas Health District is now working with local healthcare agencies to resume local investigation and contact tracing. What is involved with contact tracing? It feels like that's an invasion of my privacy. And I get it. You know, a lot of people don't want to receive a phone call and be asked personal questions, but remember, we're in a pandemic, right? I mean, we're trying to keep other people safe. So I think it's really cool that Confluence Health, Cascade Medical Center in Leavenworth, Columbia Valley Community Health have all agreed that they are going to take on contact tracing and investigations for our local health district. So what's going to happen now, all of us, if we've been tested and have had a positive test, somebody has called us to give us that test result. And now what's going to happen is that same person who's calling from your doctor's office with your test result is going to talk to you about COVID, explain what you need to do to keep yourself and other people safe. And then they're also going to ask you who you think you may have gotten this from. Where do you think you might have been where you contracted COVID-19? And if you're willing to provide them a list of people who have been within 6 feet of them for more than 15 minutes, so a close contact of you, then we can reach out to those people also and advise them that they may have been exposed to COVID-19. And unless you give us your permission, we're not going to tell them to whom they may have been exposed. So your privacy will be protected. So the good news is we brought it back local. It's being done by your providers. It's no stranger from somewhere else calling asking you questions. We're keeping it close, keeping it safe. All right, that looks like all of the questions for today. Two other thoughts I have, which are pretty fun. The first is again about Halloween. Sorry to be the Grinch who stole Halloween this year, but trick-or-treating, super bad idea, all right? Please don't trick-or-treat. Not a good idea during a pandemic. So, and if your kids need to get outside and find some candy, go hide it in the park like a Easter egg hunt or something. Let them go find some candy. The second issue is a YouTube video that I watched last night. It's by a couple guys. They call themselves the Slow-Mo guys. They've got some very fancy cameras and they do a lot of cool slow motion video. But what they did was they actually videoed somebody just speaking and then somebody coughing and somebody sneezing with a mask and without a mask. And it is dramatic. You can see all of the droplets coming out and floating around. And when the mask is in place, you can see how almost none come out. So it's a very dramatic representation of the effectiveness of masking in retaining droplets. And so if you have any questions about masking and whether you think it's worthwhile, go to YouTube, look up Slow-Mo guys. And I think the most recent video they've put out is about masking. So that's it for today. Thanks for taking the time and look forward to doing this again with you next week. Thank you.
Succession is leading the way for a new generation of Chelan wineries. Named Platinum Winemaker of the Year in 2017 and the one to watch in 2018 by Wine Press, Succession is setting the pace. Award-winning wines are just a part of the overall experience. Add live music on Sundays and fantastic views, and you have it all. Succession Wines, located on the north shore of Lake Chelan between Chelan and Manson.
Hi, I'm Jim Heinlein, independent agent at Springwater Insurance Group. And at Springwater, we really enjoy being independent because what that means is that we become an educator and a teacher for Medicare plans, in fact, all plans. So if you have questions about perhaps changing your coverage, going to a new plan, at Springwater Insurance Group, we can teach you all your choices. And we give you the option, would you like to give us a call, maybe have a Zoom meeting? Whatever way works best for you, give us a call at Springwater Insurance Group.
Contractors, furniture makers, and weekend do-it-yourselfers around north central Washington will tell you that Lombard's Hardwood Supply is the place to get what you need. Lombard's full millwork shop can handle jobs large or small. Lombard's has a full line of interior and exterior doors available, as well as custom barn doors. From alderwood to zebrawood and everything in between, it's Lombard's Hardwood Supply on School Street in Sunny Slope. Like us on Facebook and check out our monthly special.
I'm Dr. Wayne Latimer. I'm a chiropractic physician. I have postgraduate certifications in both whiplash, trauma, and rehab, as well as sports medicine. The location is great. The light and the visibility, the 17-foot ceilings are fantastic. You can go into a lot of clinics, and it's very clinical. People really like the spa environment, so my whole premise was take a spa environment, add the very serious rehab, and give people an enjoyable way to get better over time.
We're back, 45 degrees outside of our studio, some passing light drizzle here and there I've noticed in north central Washington, and we're going to get a little bit of light rain today, but the big story is going to be the wind. A cold front is coming through as we speak. And right behind that cold front, the wind is going to be able to channel through the canyons and the valleys in the surrounding hillsides. Going to pick up a little wind, a little intensity in the wind. We could see gusts, I don't know, 25, 30 miles an hour. Stronger still up in the Waterville Plateau. So watch out for a little bit of wind today. 35 for the overnight low. Beautiful Halloween expected on Saturday. Gobs of gooey good sunshine. We'll top off at 56. We welcome November and standard time with more sunshine and a pretty benign weather for next week. And that's it for us. Have a great weekend. We'll see you Monday. Take care. Bye-bye.